Okay, this video is for Module 4, which is cash flow analysis. So I can't really overemphasize the importance of cash flow. And for anybody who's taken a live course with me, you'll always hear me say cash is king, because it is. Because sometimes you see businesses doing various projections. So they might say, okay, we're going to invest in this particular product or a piece of equipment, and it's going to allow us to generate all of this revenue. So they'll go and they'll do all of their projections. We're going to make X number of dollars a year, and this is our expenses and fabulous income, which is fine. But to make that initial investment, they need cash. If you're going to buy another company, you're going to buy a piece of equipment, whatever it is you're investing in, you need to identify where that cash is coming from to make that investment. Or do you have sufficient funds on hand? If not, typically you wouldn't. Then you're going to have to borrow from the bank, take a loan, a line of credit. You have to say where that money is coming from, and that's something that people sometimes, it's an oversight, I guess. They just don't think about it so much. They just keep thinking, oh, these are all the revenues, these are all the expenses, and I'm going to make all this money. Not so fast. You got to go back to show that whatever project it is you're working on, whatever new initiative it is that you're proposing, that you actually have the cash. So you borrow the money up front, but then as your revenue stream is coming in, how long does it going to take you to collect your cash? You might sell something today, but maybe whoever you're selling to has got 60 days to pay. So maybe you've only got 30 days though to pay for your inventory or your supplies that you're using. So you really have to look at the cash. And also, of course, if you've borrowed money, you got to look at what are the repayment terms. How much am I going to have to repay every month? So the cash is very, very important. And so it's something that you don't want to, lose sight of as you're making investments and going forward with various projects. So one way of looking at cash is called, there's a technique, it's called operating cash flow after interest and distribution, OCFAD for short. And this is just an additional tool in addition to your typical cash flow analysis, and it just introduces a good way to look at cash. And it's more of a visual explanation. So this methodology was developed by my predecessor who used to teach this course, Professor Alan Robb, and he's a cooperative forensic accountant in New Zealand, and he's been retired for a few years now, but before he retired, he actually developed this model, and it's a non-technical, as I say, visual way to look at cash flows. And this is important particularly if you're a small cooperative, or if you don't have a lot of people on your board who are accountants or who have business experience. It's a good way to show them the cash situation that your cooperative is facing. And there's actually a study has been written by one of the MMCCU graduates, Wendy Holmes. She actually wrote a case study on what would have happened had a dairy co-op used OCFAD, how it could have helped them avoid, the crunch they eventually found themselves in. So there's a nice video, and she's also written a paper on that as well as one of your readings. So that concludes my remarks on Module 4.